the Budget Review Subcommittee on Transportation. This is meeting number 2, July 15th, 2025, 10:30 a.m. This time I'd ask the Secretary to please call the roll.
Senator Armstrong. Senator Higdon. Here. Representative Branscombe. Here. Representative Bridges. Here. Representative Huff.
Here.
Representative Imes.
Here.
Representative Smith. Representative Lafferty. Senator Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel. Representative Blanton.
Present.
Representative Bowling. Representative Bray. Representative Petrie. Co-Chair Douglas.
Present.
Chair Upchurch.
Present. We do have a quorum. We're duly constituted to do business. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from June the 4th, 2025. Need a motion?
Motion.
Got a motion? Second? We got a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is Commissioner Mark Carter, Department of Aviation. Please identify yourself for the record, and you may proceed.
My name's Mark Carter. I'm the Commissioner of the Kentucky Department of Aviation in the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. First of all, thank you for the invitation to be here, Chairman Upchurch, and to the rest of the task force. I was asked to report on the $200,000 grants that were made to the general aviation airports in House Bill 1. Here to report on that. I can tell you that this is an ongoing process because the airports are using the money on, in some cases, on FAA projects that are ongoing. We discovered, I guess, during the spring that the money needed to be dispersed to the airports by the end of the fiscal 25. So what we've asked the airports to do is to submit to us their plans for the $200,000 in cases where they haven't expended it yet. So I have just a brief summary of that. I would say that predominantly the money's being used for hangar projects, which I think, as you all probably know, are generally not eligible for FAA funding. You can have an FAA project for hangars, but the airports have to accumulate a $150,000 a year grant from the FAA to be able to use that for hangars or any kind of revenue generating project. So hangar projects typically are funded partly by the FAA, but with state grants that are made available through the jet fuels tax that this General Assembly authorizes. So there were about 25 hangar projects that have been reported to us. Several fuel trucks, another thing that FAA money can't be used for in general aviation airports. A lot of parking lot resurfacing, again, not eligible for FAA funding. So those projects are typically funded through state level grants, but we've got several of those. A lot of equipment, airport equipment. These would be things like tugs or lawn tractors to mow the grass. There was one crew car where airports typically will have a car that pilots can use to go get lunch or something like that when they're transient at an airport. And then some public education efforts on the part of the airports. Those are the general categories. We'll have a full accounting during the next state fiscal year, probably towards the end of the year, of the specific projects that have been used. These are, what I'm reporting to you now, are the planned projects that the airports have reported to us in support of us being able to disperse the $200,000 to them. So I think it's being put to good use. Where possible, it's being used to match federal grants, which I think was part of the rationale behind it, at least as reported to me. So that, Chairman Upchurch, is my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter. On the hangars, I know we were lacking a few years ago as far as hangars in Kentucky. Mm-hmm. This $200,000, you said there was 25 projects. About how many hangars do you think will be constructed
Well, 25 projects included some hangar renovations and the like, and there were box hangars as well as T hangars. I'd estimate 60-ish T hangars based on those numbers and what I've seen here. And there are 4 or 5 box hangars, which are corporate intended for corporate aircraft.
What would be, and I forget how many we were short, or what was there a goal that we was trying to achieve, to get at a few years ago, and kind of where are we now with that?
Yeah, so I don't remember the specific goal, but they're just about. Well, we made visits to every airport a couple of springs ago. And I would say out of 53 general aviation airports, probably about 45 of them reported a need for hangars, and specifically T hangars. We've made progress on that, Chairman Upchurch, but there's still a significant need out there for T hangars. And from a development standpoint for airports, they basically have 2 sources of revenue: fuel sales and hangar rentals. And so in efforts to help our general aviation airports become more financially sustainable, they really do need assistance from the state for hangars. And we try to make that, after safety projects, we try to make that a priority for the department.
Now, on the $200,000, one of the caveats that we put in budget language in order for them to receive that $200,000 was to have the VER tower.
Yes, sir.
Have you seen much increase?
Yes.
Since they've all started using them?
Yes, and so all the airports, with the exception of Tradewater and Dawson Springs, which is a grass strip and doesn't have internet access, they all have that system in place. We did issue a state grant to pay for that system, so the airports aren't having to pay for it themselves. And there's 100% compliance. We have a few airports in rural areas, for example, in eastern Kentucky, where they have some internet accessibility issues. But what we've seen across the system is an increase, or I guess the accuracy of that ADSB system in capturing the transponders has resulted in the airports being able to report more operations than they were reporting to the FAA previously. And that's important because that matters to the FAA. The more operations, the more likely you are to get a grant.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. Senator Douglas, you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. My question is, given your experience, I'm always looking at the timeliness of how things are proceeding, and what is your assessment of the timeliness in how the planning is proceeding and the movements that we're looking at toward improving of our air facilities?
Well, I think the timing generally has been good. When you look at projects from initiation to completion, of late, particularly with federal projects, there have been some delays, as we've all read about what changes are being made in D.C., and that has affected the FAA and their ability to get grants out. So they have slowed a little bit on federal projects, but it really hasn't had an impact on state projects. I think probably our biggest challenge is, frankly, as contractors. For a hangar project, for example, there's only a couple of companies that build T hangars in the state, and of course that affects bids and their ability or capacity to get them done. But generally speaking, I think the timing has been pretty good.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chair.
Senator Higdon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, thank you for being here today. It's good to see you. We often talk about the jet fuel fee and the cap and the $1 million cap. I don't know how many years it's been at $1 million, probably 20. I can remember when it first
26.
26, okay. And it's not there's nothing in there to I guess a CPI on that or anything. And of course, been watching Tennessee what they do with theirs, and they've finally dropped theirs. Theirs is $1 million cap also now, and which again, that's where we get most of our money to fund our general aviation airports and the work that you do.
Yes, sir.
How much does that generate every year?
So it's good to see you, Senator Higdon. And it generates about $23 million a year. And that's up since I became commissioner. I, of course, had nothing to do with that. That's all market conditions. I think when I came in 21, it was about $19 million a year. So it's up to $23 million. There's an definite uptick on especially business aviation in Kentucky. I know I base my aircraft in Somerset. They have 4 base jets now in Somerset, and I think are about to get a 5th one. And, you know, that's where the money comes from, is business aviation, commercial air travel. And so that's definitely been on an uptick. Yesterday, the 3 directors of the big 3 airports testified in front of the Advanced Air Mobility Task Force, and they all testified to the fact that their operations rebounded from COVID far faster than they expected. So it's generating about $23 million a year currently.
One other question, Mr. Chairman. We talk a lot about T hangars and we see a lot of requests from airports for hangars.
Yes, sir.
And they do generate revenue. Mm-hmm. Is there anywhere in statute that says that they can't finance if they need a T hangar, that they could? I mean, they all have assets. Many of them are owned by the county government, where they could do even a bonding.
Right.
Is there any reason they don't do that they look for us to give them the money?
There's no statute that I know of that prevents them from financing all or part of a T hangar project. No.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
If we could get all the air traffic requirement in the state that if you're flying over Kentucky, you have to stop and do a pit stop and fill up, that would help on that.
Can you enact that bill?
We might have to get on that. Are there any other questions for the commissioner? Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Next is Jeremy Edgeworth with the update on the Riverport projects. Just identify yourselves for the record, and then you may proceed.
I'll start while Jeremy's pulling this up. Brian Wright, the Executive Director of the Owensboro Riverport Authority, as well as the Chair for the Kentucky Association of Riverports.
Jeremy Edgeworth. I'm the Freight Rail and Waterways Coordinator with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. So I was asked to present on the Riverport projects utilizing funding from House Bill 265, which is the Transportation Cabinet's budget, as well as Riverport projects funded by House Bill 1. So I'll start with the funding from House Bill 265. In the Transportation Cabinet budget is $500,000 in each fiscal year for Riverport improvements. These funds require an 80-20 match and are administered through the Kentucky Riverport Improvement Grant Program. This program requires that eligible projects provide dredging or improve Riverport facilities, infrastructure, or critical material handling equipment. With the assistance of the Water Transportation Advisory Board, we have awarded the $500,000 for fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26 to these 13 projects. The state's $1 million investment is going towards almost $1.5 million in projects. So I'll quickly go into detail about the status of each of these awarded projects. First, Henderson County Riverport Authority was awarded $122,000 to replace their 11,000-pound and 15,000-pound forklifts that were near the end of their useful life. As you can see in the photos, these forklifts have already been delivered and are already in constant use. Next, Hickman-Fulton County Riverport Authority was awarded $19,000 to construct a new spreader bar with coil hooks. These are used to unload different size wire coils from barges, as you can see in the smaller photo. The current equipment shown in the larger photo is constantly having to be repaired. It is not compatible with different sizes of wire coils handled by the Riverport. So this project has been awarded, and the vendor has already started fabrication on the new spreader bar. Next, Louisville-Jefferson County Riverport Authority was awarded $65,000 to replace a leased skid steer with a new owned skid steer. As you can see in the larger photo, this new skid steer has been delivered and is already in service. Next, the Owensboro Riverport Authority was awarded $152,000 to stabilize and concrete their bulk loadout dock. As you can see in the smaller photos, the low road loadout was just gravel and soil. And so this project has been completed, and the concrete surface has made the dock much more usable and durable throughout all weather and loading conditions. Next, the Paducah-McCracken County Riverport Authority was awarded $28,000 to purchase a new 48-foot flatbed trailer to move products from their dock into storage. This eliminated the need for a rental when a trailer was needed. As you can see in the photo, the new trailer has been delivered and it is already in use. Finally, for the fiscal 25 projects, the Paducah-McCracken County Riverport Authority was awarded $46,000 to replace their Bobcat from 2015 with a newer Bobcat. As you can see, the older skid steer in the smaller photo and the new one, which has been delivered in the larger photo and is already in use. So for the fiscal 26 projects that were just awarded on June 26th, the Eddyville Riverport Industrial Development Authority was awarded $91,000 to reconstruct and resurface 4,500 feet of their Port Authority Road. They're going to widen the entrance at Kentucky 93 and add a 2-foot gravel shoulder to improve the turning radius for commercial trucks. The Corps of Engineers actually owns this road and has neglected it for years, and the port now has the main responsibility for maintaining it, and so they're trying to bring it back into a usable condition. So as with all fiscal 26 projects where this was just awarded, we're still working on getting the agreements in place for this project. Next, Henderson County Riverport Authority was awarded $76,000 to construct a 3,000 square foot concrete pad to provide a durable surface to allow semi-truck access. Their secondary dock recently had a conveyor system removed, and a new material handler will be going in that location, and so they need a long-lasting, durable area for trucks to be loaded. The Louisville Jefferson County Riverport Authority was just awarded $91,000 to purchase a mechanical barge cover handling system similar to the one shown in the larger photo. This system will reduce the human interaction currently required to place and remove barge covers. That will make it much safer and much more efficient operation. As you can see in the smaller photo, the current process requires 2 deckhands and a crane operator. The Owensboro Riverport Authority was just awarded $143,000 to replace 2 heavily deteriorated skid steers. These skid steers handle corrosive chemicals all day, and this accelerates the deterioration of the skid steers and their electrical components, necessitating frequent replacement. And finally, for the fiscal 26 awards, the Paducah-McCracken County Riverport Authority was awarded $96,000 to replace their mobile crane. You can see in the background of the photos the conveyor system at the port. They utilize this crane to maintain this critical piece of infrastructure. As you can also see from the photos, the crane is well used and is starting to wear out and having issues with reliability, so they're having to frequently rent a crane. So this project will purchase a newer crane that can be used for maintaining their conveyor belt system. So now to shift to the House Bill 1 projects for Riverports. The main appropriation was $7.5 million in each fiscal year to be divided between the 10 public Riverport authorities with no local match required. These funds are being administered through the Kentucky Public Riverport Construction and Maintenance Program. There was a carve-out for the West Kentucky Regional Riverport Authority to support their pre-development archaeological activities, but the rest of the projects are required to follow KRS 174.210. This states that projects shall provide for new construction and major replacement of or repair projects, including but not limited to improvement of docks, wharves, equipment, port buildings, storage facilities, roads, and railroads to facilitate the flow of commerce through the port, other on-site improvements, and related professional services. So Riverport authorities had to apply for their KPRCM funds, and the project had to be approved by the Water Transportation Advisory Board to ensure they complied with KRS 174.210. So this is a summary of the fiscal year 25 and 26 funds. What I want to highlight here is that we have awarded $12.6 million of the KPRCM funds to these 20 projects. The remaining $2.4 million will be awarded later this fall, and I'll go briefly into detail in the status about each of these projects. First up is the Eddyville Riverport Industrial Development Authority that was just awarded over $2.2 million to construct 4 mooring dolphins. Mooring dolphins are kind of like hitching posts for horses. They allow barges to be tied up out of the way while they're waiting to be unloaded or have been loaded waiting for pickup. This project will construct 4 mooring dolphins in the harbor to allow storage for up to 12 barges at a time. The design work has been completed on this project, and the underwater geotechnical investigation with the drill rig will commence within the next 30 days. Greenup-Boyd County Riverport Authority was awarded $1.4 million to purchase material handling equipment for their port. This includes a skid steer, backhoe, and material handler. The skid steer and backhoe in the photos have been delivered and are currently in active use. Down payment has been made on the material handler. As you can see, the older material handler to replace in the smaller photo. With their fiscal year 26 funds, they will make the final payment on the material handler, and it will be delivered in September. Henderson County Riverport Authority was awarded $1.7 million to purchase a new electric material handler. They recently removed an unused conveyor for grain on their secondary dock, so the new material handler will be located on their secondary dock and will facilitate quicker loading and unloading and back up their 40-year-old main crane. The material handler has been ordered, and it will be delivered in October. Hickman Fulton County Riverport Authority was awarded $481,000 to repair their mooring dock cells. Mooring cells are the large cylindrical structures made of interlocking steel plates and filled with ballast stone and used to anchor barges while they're being loaded and unloaded. Over time, the plates have become damaged and corroded and no longer hold the ballast necessary to give them structural strength. So this project will patch and add full circumference bands and then refill the cells with ballast stone. So far, the mooring cell supporting their conveyor system has been repaired, and they are waiting until later this summer when the water levels are lower to complete the remaining repairs. Hickman Fulton County Riverport Authority was also awarded $268,000 to replace their wheel loader. The older loader in the smaller photo was from 2003 and was having reliability issues. The new loader in the larger photo has been delivered and is constant use loading and unloading bulk materials. Hickman Fulton County Riverport Authority was also awarded $85,000 to design and construct a 4 cubic yard aggregate clamshell bucket to handle rock or aggregate material similar to the one shown. This will supplement their current light material bucket that cannot handle aggregate or rock. The Riverport has received the bids for the new clamshell bucket and they're currently reviewing. Hickman Fulton County Riverport Authority was also awarded $175,000 to upgrade their grain conveyor to allow for the eventual addition of a surge tank. Currently, when grain trucks are unloading onto barges, they have to stop when the barge is full or needs to be repositioned. So the hopper surge tank will allow the grain to continue to be unloaded from truck and stored until the barge is ready to resume filling. The Riverport is in the process of developing their bid packet for this project. And finally, for Hickman Fulton County Riverport Authority, they were awarded $750,000 for their conveyor upgrade and replacement project. They were awarded a $3.6 million federal Maritime Administration Port Infrastructure Development Program grant to replace and upgrade their critical 40-year-old conveyor belt system that supports Cargill. So this project will help the public Riverport match the awarded federal funds, and the project was just awarded, so we're still working on that agreement. The Louisville Jefferson County Riverport Authority was awarded $1.45 million to rehabilitate their 35-year-old gantry crane. The age of the crane is making replacement parts virtually impossible to source. As a part of the project, the crane will receive new electronic power, new command controls, cab and braking systems. It will also retrofit the gantry structure to accept additional load capacity, replace the old bucket and hopper seen in the smaller photos. So far, the bus bar portion of the electrical power has been replaced, and the Riverport is in the procurement phase for the remaining project. The Maysville-Mason County Riverport Authority was awarded $622,000 to purchase needed material handling equipment. They will be purchasing a triple stack transfer conveyor, a large wheel loader, and a radial stacker similar to the one shown. This will allow the Riverport Authority to continue current operations loading coal ash from the adjacent rail line facility and allow expansion of operations into agricultural transport. The Riverport Authority is currently reviewing the bids that have been submitted for their equipment purchase. The Owensboro Riverport Authority was awarded $750,000 to upgrade a recently purchased warehouse to get it ready for lease. They installed new electrical systems and constructed an overhanging dock area to allow loading operations during all weather conditions. You can see in the smaller photo the warehouse prior to the work, and in the larger photo the new overhanging dock, and in the back corner the new electrical control building. All work on this project is complete. The Owensboro Riverport Authority was also awarded $381,000 to resurface the asphalt roads leading to and from the loading docks, around the loading docks, and provide a more efficient exiting of trucks from the warehouse and guard check-in. As you can see in the two lower left photos, the asphalt surface from 2003 has significantly deteriorated. This project will resurface these areas, and in the right two images, the exit road will be widened and full-depth asphalt installed in the gravel areas. The final component is adding permanent sleeved bollards to replace the orange temporary plastic barriers. Construction will start on this project later this month and will conclude in September. Finally, for Owensboro Riverport Authority, they were awarded $750,000 to replace 4 pieces of material handling equipment, including a yard truck from 2009, 2 25,000-pound forklifts from 2000 and 2008, and a 5,000-pound forklift that are all struggling with frequent breakdowns. This project was just awarded, so we are still working on the agreement. Paducah-McCracken County Riverport Authority was awarded $1.25 million to inspect their 8 mooring cells and perform the necessary repairs to return them to marine industry standards. Over time, the mooring cell plates have become damaged and corroded and no longer hold the ballast stone necessary to give structural strength. Divers and engineers have performed the necessary inspections, and the bidding for the repair work will commence in August. Paducah-McCracken County Riverport Authority was also awarded $61,000 to replace their material handler bucket. The current bucket is too large, causing the machine to operate beyond its design load capacity, leading to increased maintenance and breakdowns. The new bucket has been ordered and will be delivered in September. Finally, for the Paducah-McCracken County Riverport Authority, they were awarded $250,000 to remove their deteriorated conveyor system and replace it with the 3 newly purchased 100-foot conveyors with the necessary bents, chutes, power supply, and controls. This project was just awarded, so we're still working on the agreement. And last but not least, West Kentucky Regional Riverport Authority was awarded $250,000 for archaeological excavations of Fort Jefferson. The Riverport is proposing to develop a new inland riverport at this site, so the award will allow them to document and recover cultural resources and complete their environmental permitting. The Section 7 of wetlands field work is complete, and the archaeology contracts are under review. House Bill 1 also contained 2 direct appropriations. The first was $3.5 million to the Paducah-McCracken County Riverport Authority to support their Riverport West project. This award will provide the geotechnical investigations, permitting and environmental requirements, market and economic impact assessment, the engineering to 90% completion, and public engagement necessary to construct a facility. So far, coordination with the railroads is ongoing, as is coordination with the Corps of Engineers and Coast Guard. The mussel survey, wetland delineation, market and commodity assessment are completed, and the geotechnical investigations are set to commence for all the infrastructure elements. And finally, the House Bill 1 direct appropriation of $1.3 million to Owensboro Riverport Authority. This is to support construction of the Owensboro Riverport Waterline Loop. The Riverport is executing this project in concert with Owensboro Municipal Utilities. This project will install 5,300 feet of 12-inch water main, replace 4 hydrants, install 4 new hydrants, along with a new pump station and valves. This project will resolve current volume and pressure issues at the Riverport and increase fire protection for port customers and improve the area for economic development. As you can see in the photo, installation began June 23rd and will be complete the end of August. For information about all these grants, the status of them, as well as these programs, they can all be seen on these websites. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Brian, I think, is going to talk about some of the impacts these funds have had on the public riverports.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today to represent all the ports across the state of Kentucky. I want to start by saying thank you all for the opportunity that you provided in House Bill 1 for the funding specific to the KPRCM program. As Jeremy demonstrated, we've put over $12.6 million in working today on various projects that start from just basic revitalization of assets to expanding capacity in various locations across the state. To give you some examples, as demonstrated in the presentation, Hickman has utilized the KPRCM money to match their federal dollars to expand or to actually replace their conveying system for their grain operations, which is critical in Hickman. Eddyville, with the mooring cell operation, they are limited. When you work on the river system, you have to have the ability to store both full and empty barges routinely. Otherwise, there could be additional costs associated with it. These mooring cells are going to put them in a position to increase their total capacity of throughput, whether it's grain or fertilizer. Western Kentucky Regional Riverport, with the House Bill 1 carve-out, was be able to actually proceed with the development, the archaeological study, and the engineer work in order to look at how they can develop that location in Western Kentucky. Paducah, a very good example. They have 9 mooring cells in front of their entire river system. Of those, all 9 are in dire straits and need to be rehabbed completely, and that's where the majority of those dollars are going towards. Henderson is another capacity expansion where they're able to add a new material handler on a separate location in the port in order to be able to unload multiple commodities at the same time as needed. Owensboro, expanding bulk capacity for new tenants that need to service the Davis County area. Louisville, extending the life of their gantry crane, which was really beyond repair over the last couple of years. And then Greenup in far eastern Kentucky, able to replace their equipment that they use daily on a daily basis. So as demonstrated, all of these projects are essential. Some are equipment replacements for the day-to-day, others are longer term, others are asset revitalization projects. But at the end of the day, we greatly appreciate the opportunity to put those dollars to work for the entire state.
Thank you all for your presentation. I know when you think transportation, you think roads and bridges and stuff like that, and Riverports is kind of one of those things that it's kind of out of sight, out of mind with a lot of folks, but it's very important to the economy of Kentucky, and we appreciate what you're doing. I know we're just scratching the surface with the need. What kind of other needs do you have or foresee?
Just this year, we've put together our top 5 capital needs across the entire state. We're still rounding some of those up from some of the ports, but we're already in the 90 million range for the total list. Of those, revitalization, if we go back to 2020 when we had the study for the entire state, the majority of the initial dollars was just trying to get our ports back up to par from years and years of, most of them were built in the late 60s, early 70s. And then the second phase is looking at the modernization and how can we improve and enhance and provide additional capacity. We're starting to see both of those today. Majority of it's in revitalization, but the future, as far as the next year's looking out, we're still in the $60 to $90 million range on total improvements.
What kind of timeline do you think? Of course, I know that's dependent on what monies are available.
A good portion of the projects on the capital list tend to be a little longer term. Most of our projects are in the 2 to 4 to 5 year range on the big dollar items, primarily because of permitting and the necessity to work with the Army Corps of Engineers.
And that's all needed to make Kentucky more competitive.
Correct.
In the Riverport market. Senator Higdon, did you have a question? Or was you going to write a check? Line item in the budget? Okay.
That's the plan.
Well, I thought Senator Higdon had a question.
Probably does.
Oh,
No, I
okay.
don't know.
He was just going to line item that 90 million in the budget, so. Do you have a question?
I did. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for my help, we talked about at the Owensboro Riverfront Authority, the track loader. You mentioned that is Mr. Edgeworth, frequent because there's frequent deterioration of that equipment due to some of the caustic things that are being used. Could you tell me what frequent means? I'm just trying to get an idea what.
They're actually those are actually skid steers he has to replace. Brian, you want to talk about your skid
Yeah,
steers?
I just want to kind of just a ballpark in terms of
One of the
frequent.
challenges, and this applies to all ports that are unloading bulk products and barges, if you go back 10 to 15 years, most of the skid steer technology was basic hydraulic and mechanical. Mm-hmm. Today, there's a lot more electrical components in those skid steers. So what we're seeing is a useful life of anywhere between 3 to 5 years total.
Okay.
Before we have to exchange those units for reliability purposes. The 2 skid steers that Jeremy mentioned for the Owensboro Riverport, we've already been forced to invest between those 2 units that we're replacing $20,000 to $30,000 just to keep them operational.
May I ask one more? And with all due respect, I want to move now down to, we talked about the Maysville, Mason County Riverport Authority. You talked about you're reviewing some bids on some of the equipment.
Yes.
Could you give me or give us, again, because the public's watching, I just
Sure.
want them to get an idea of what you guys do. Many people don't have a clue. What is meant when you're reviewing bids? Typically, how many bids might you get? How many offers to?
It really depends on the location and the equipment they're buying, but it is an open bidding process. They have to post in the local paper that they're soliciting bids. The only time we don't is if they're buying it off a statewide master agreement, then they can just buy it directly from that. And we have had a couple instances, like with the skid steer at Louisville, they're able to just buy it off of a statewide master agreement. But all these other projects have to be put in a local paper and advertised for public bids. Sometimes they get 3 or 4, sometimes they get 1 or 2. It just depends on the project in the area.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Now, Senator Higdon.
Thank you. I'm just curious about, especially the Owensboro Riverport. Do we see our volume increasing as we make these investments, or what is the outlook for Riverports as far as volume and economic development?
From our 2020 study that was issued, there was all indications of growth going forward. As of recent, with the uncertainty of the tariffs, that's created some risk adversity in regards to being able to move commodities or commit to certain leases on international trade. So currently we're seeing a little bit of a slowdown driven around just the financial risk and the uncertainty until things are nailed in place. Overall, we continue to see growth, at least I can speak for Davis County, because of the amount of aluminum consumption that's in our general region. Generally, across all the state, when it comes to the ag side of it, on the fertilizer side, there's only so much land in the hinterlands of each port. There's only so much fertilizer those lands can take. So generally, that is a matter of a trade-off from different locations or going across the river in Indiana. There's always potential growth for fertilizer businesses, but we're seeing more industrial growth utilizing barge and rail system than what we had 5 to 10 years ago. So I say that in regards to the jury is still out on how things are nailed down with certainty on the international trade side for the future. It will still happen. It's just things have to settle down and be in a position, the market has to adjust the prices accordingly, and then everything will move forward.
One more question, Mr. Chairman. I know it seemed like several years ago there was talk about container freight being an item for Riverports. Has that ever developed?
No, it has not. Not up to the Ohio River point. Paducah has pushed, pretty substantially because they're a little more further west and closer to the Mississippi. The biggest challenge is the speed of moving barges and the ships that would need to be produced in order to move those in a timely fashion. That's one piece. The other piece is it takes 10 to 14 days currently for containers to move up, and all the containers are owned by the shipping companies, and they only expect a 6-day turnaround. When they come off New Orleans or Savannah, you have 6 days to fill it back up and get it back on the ship. So that's some of the challenges. I know Cincinnati's worked hard over the years, along with the state of Kentucky, on looking for opportunities, but you have to have equal amount of commerce that can wait the 10 days and then also fill those containers and get them back.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any of the members? Thank you for your presentation, gentlemen. It's I would hate to be trying to keep up with all the barges. That's about like trying to chase legislation in Frankfurt.
Thank you,
Somebody else have a
Chairman.
question? Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, next is John Moore, the Deputy State Highway Engineer, giving us an update on the electric vehicle charging program.
Good morning. As you indicated, my name is John Moore. Serve as Deputy State Highway Engineer for the Transportation Cabinet, and give you a short update on the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure and the implementation of that in Kentucky. To date, we have awarded 47 sites throughout the Commonwealth using these NEVI funds. We have 3 sites that are open, that are operational, 2 under construction, and 42 in various stages of development currently. Just as a reminder, these are owned, operated, installed, maintained by private entities. They're not operated by KYTC. Just as an overall update, we'll see expected to see about 19,000 electric vehicles registered in Kentucky by the end of this year. That represents a 52% increase, or excuse me, last year there was a 52% increase. This year there's a little bit of a slowdown, only about 33% growth this year. And this Navy program is anticipated to play a key role in the dependability of travel for electric vehicles throughout the state and throughout the country. Noted here are the 3 sites that are open: one in Richmond, one in Berea, and one in Hazard. And just a note to brag a little bit on our folks, the Richmond site at Circle K was both the first in Kentucky as well as the first Navy site in the Southeast to open. So we're proud of that. Other news that has occurred this year with the new administration in D.C., executive order came out unleashing American energy back in January. Based on that executive order, Federal Highway Administration issued guidance in February that suspended approval on all NEVI plans. The way the NEVI funding is set up is that each state has to have an approved NEVI plan in order to obligate additional funds. So with the revocation of that plan approval, we are no longer able to obligate any additional NEVI funds until additional guidance comes out and we comply with the updated guidance. In that memorandum from FHWA, the guidance was expected to come out in spring. It was indicated. We hear it's any day now, but we've heard it's any day for a couple weeks. So we're anxiously waiting for it to come forth. As I indicated, no new obligations can come forward until the guidance is issued. We understand the guidance and update our plan accordingly, and then we get approval from FHWA on that the updated plan. Just as a note, again, I'll brag on our folks. This team is led by Justin Herod, along with HDR and WSP, who have done tremendous efforts in Kentucky. We're one of the few states in the Commonwealth that have, or in one of the few states in the country that has so many sites fully under contract and not subject to reallocation of funds to other states. So our 47 we've had commitments from FHWA that those funds are secure since they've been obligated and are not subject to reallocation. So, but that being said, we do have $32.6 million that were allocated via the IAJA to Kentucky that are currently frozen until we get we can update our guidance accordingly. As you all are absolutely aware, back in 2023, the EV ownership fee was instituted through House Bill 360. That's for electric vehicle owners to pay their fair share of road upkeep and maintenance. The hybrid EV and 126 per vehicle, and this was indexed in 2025 based on the National Highway Construction Index. That is the cap on the fee increase, and that representative of the increases we've seen in the construction industry this year. In 2022, House Bill 8 established the excise tax on public EV charging stations. This is a 3 cent per kilowatt hour charge, with an additional 3 cents on state property sites. This is only applied to sites that are over 20 kilowatt capacity. These are your DCFC fast charging stations. As indicated, next steps, once the new NEVI guidance comes forth, we'll review the updated parameters and update our plan accordingly, and look to pursue those 32.6 that have been frozen on top of the 32.2 that we've allocated toward developers to date. And of course, construction will continue on the remaining 44 awarded and obligated. Those includes the 2 that are under construction now. Of course, you're welcome to plug into all of the developments in the EV program through our website or our email address. And with that, be happy to take any questions you have.
Thank you, John. Do you know what the usage, I know we're on the 47 that's been installed, do you have any idea what kind of usage or the revenue that's been generated at the 3 cents on those stations?
There's 3 that are open and operational, one of which is very new, so it's don't have much revenue. We have the overall number. We don't just have the number for the 3 sites. For the excise tax in fiscal year 24, we brought in 1.4 million, and in fiscal year 25, preliminarily, this was at the early beginning of the month, we had 3.1 million brought in.
Senator Higdon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John, you mentioned that only certain chargers have the 3% surcharge or 3% fee.
That's correct.
Now, explain that again to me. I thought all chargers who were metered were collecting the fee.
So there are level 1 and 2 chargers, which are the level 1 chargers is generally what you'd have at your home. Level 2 charger is what is generally around here in Frankfort, which is kind of an all-day charge. Then you have the DCFC or fast chargers, which for the Navy program they were set up and established to be very robust chargers, 150 kilowatts. The threshold that was established in the law was 20 kilowatts, which is a fast charger. There's, depending on where you go and who you talk to, the definition of fast charger varies, but the threshold established in the law was 20 kilowatts. And these are public chargers. If you have a privately owned charger at a hotel, I do not know if that applies in that situation.
Okay. I know that we have chargers in the parking lot here. Are they, what are they considered?
I don't know the answer to that, but I can check.
I don't
and get
either.
back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Senator Douglas.
So Deputy Moore, would it be fair to say we don't have enough data yet to be able to really establish a cost ratio in terms of filling up our vehicles yet when we look at our EV stations versus the hybrid vehicles that we have on the road versus the internal combustion engines? We don't have enough of those stations open, haven't collected enough data so that we could see what the
offset is.
Yes, sir.
I was thinking about that last night as I was struggling to go to sleep, and it often depends on how much a vehicle travels, and along with that, the fuel efficiency that has more of an impact on our road fund than the conversion to electric vehicles. So it's kind of hard to know where to draw the line and allocate it versus efficiency versus EV. And for example, a hybrid vehicle, it's really a hyper efficient combustion vehicle.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Representative Bridges, do you have a question?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Just wondering, you said by the end of the year you expect 19,000 electric vehicles to be registered here in Kentucky. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Overall, how many vehicles do we have registered here?
Whoa. Yeah, you caught me unprepared, so I can get that to you.
Okay, I'm just trying to get this in context of, percentage-wise where we are and everything.
It is not a significantly high percentage overall, but I'll get you the overall. I'll talk with our motor vehicles group and get you put that in context for you.
Okay. One more. Okay, follow up. The other thing I'm wondering is on the tax for the EVs. I think it's $126 base and everything. And I know you got a formula, so I assume we are keeping up relatively with what the combustion engine cars are bringing in I'm just trying to figure. I'm just worried about our road fund, gentlemen. That's my question, and I want to see if we're keeping up with that, so that because the EVs are heavier, they are more wear and tear, from what I understand. So, just wondering what's your thoughts on that.
The ownership fee was established to as an offset for the loss in revenue from a average driven combustion vehicle. I don't have as I told Senator Douglas, it's hard to dial in exactly if that is a true offset or not, but it does help. There's no doubt.
Okay, and I appreciate that, and I understand we're new, we're getting started, so not trying to beat up on you. I'm just trying to
no, and
get some clarity.
As I shared with Senator Douglas, it's the CAFE standards of fuel efficiency overall, which is having a much greater impact to the road fund than the conversion to electric vehicles. So,
okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Bridges, that $120 was an attempt at a home run, and we had a foul ball. so, yeah. There you. All right, Senator Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is something I know a lot about because I'm one of those 50,000 with an electric vehicle. That's my Ford plugged in at the charger out front right now. And I can tell you, Senator Higdon, that is not a fast charger out front, not at all. I got here with about 75% charge. When this meeting's over, I'll be 82, 83. It won't move the needle a lot. But I've actually used the Circle K charger. It's great. I'm originally from Berea. Made it so I can get down there and see my family easily. My question is, the other day I left Louisville, full charge, trying to get to Red River Gorge, Powell County, Wolfe County area. There's one privately owned charger along the way. It was out of service. I had to make a 45-minute detour to Mount Sterling to be able to charge my car and pay a lot of money. I think it was like $30 to charge it there. And so my question is, I imagine that these projects that are pending are ones that we've put so that folks can get places in Kentucky they need to go easily, like our tourism centers in Powell County, Wolfe County, eastern Kentucky. And I imagine we have a lot of our electric vehicles in places like Louisville trying to get to some of those tourism places, our state parks out in the state. Tell me, if these projects don't move forward, do we have any estimates of like economic development impact? Like, what places will it be harder for people to get to if these projects don't move forward?
One of the aspects of this program is to avoid some of the concerns that you addressed about dependability of charging stations. The NEVI stations have a 90+% uptime requirement, and they're spaced every 50 miles along interstates and parkways in Kentucky is the way they were allocated. If these projects are not successful, it's primarily the rural areas, as you indicated, that would see the impact of inability to travel with comfort, and making sure that you know that you have a place to recharge efficiently and to continue your journey. We've not looked at economic impacts associated with this, partially because we don't have enough of the system stood up to have a good to know what the impact to the traveler is going to be on mobility in Kentucky.
Thank you for your answer. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for any of the members? All right, John, thank you very much for your presentation.
Absolutely.
That concludes the items on the agenda. Our next meeting is when? They say August the 20th. Stay tuned and watch your email. Thank you very much. This meeting is now adjourned.